in the old days, shutting.
Okay, since it's 6:30, I'd like to call to order the Board of Select Persons meeting for October 15th, 2024. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have 4 select persons here, and we have Melanie, who's feeling a little under the weather, so she's zooming in. So we do have a full board of 5 select persons, so that establishes our quorum for tonight. I move to go ahead and open the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
and Melanie is, yes, I'm sure, yeah. So at this time, if we have a few time of public comments, something that you want brought before the board that is not on the agenda, but you would like to bring to our attention, this would be the time when you could raise that issue. As a general rule, we do not act on it that evening, but we take it under advisement and we'll move it into item at another meeting. So with that in mind, is there any public comment for this meeting? Anyone have anything they'd like to add? No? Okay, I guess. And once again, I'd like to give credit where credit's due, and last weekend we had. 2 weekends ago, since our last select board meeting, we had our Oktoberfest or Harvest Fest, depending which organization you're aligned with. And it was, I think, a real big success in spite of the early rain in the morning. And I think the Center for All Seasons did an exceptional job with Dan with the activities and the scarecrow contest in the park. So I'd just like to acknowledge that and acknowledge again to the Belgrade Business Group, which has sort of reconfigured itself and done an outstanding job this summer, and thank them for all that they do. So
Great.
And I would just like to say that the coolest thing about the scarecrows, I mean, it was really fun to have them there in the
Yeah.
village green. But on Sunday morning, I drove down Main Street and past the village green, and there was nobody around, no people, nothing, nobody there. But there were these 7 or 8 scarecrows that were still sitting on their benches.
yeah.
And it was so cool. I had to turn on and go back and take some pictures. Of
Oh.
course, what you really needed was a drone. You really needed to have
Right.
an aerial
Right.
shot to really get the effect, but
Yeah,
I thought that was really fun.
really
So,
cool.
Kudos to the scarecrow contest, along with everything else.
Say that 3 times really fast.
Yeah,
Okay, so the first order of business is to review and approve the minutes from the October 1st select board meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I saw him then. I had no suggestions.
I didn't see any, but. Anyone else?
no, I thought they were fun.
Okay, I move we approve the minutes for the October 1st select board meeting.
Second,
All in favor, Peter,
yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
Dan,
I'll approve, I wasn't here, so.
you're
I can
staying
abstain
there,
if you want.
okay, and Mel,
Yes,
all right, that's approved. So, our agenda tonight is 5 or 6 items of unfinished business, and then it goes to appointments. And, if there are no objections, I'd like to not have everyone sit through our entire meeting till we get to appointments. And, go ahead and do committee appointments and resignations at this time.
although you're always welcome to stay.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay, but. And poor Jana, she came one time and we weren't quite ready, so this is her repeat appearance, so. So the first item under committee appointments then is Jana Townsend to the Lakes and Natural Resources Committee. this is, your first time on that committee, am I correct, or is this a
Yeah.
reappointment?
No, it's my first time.
Your first time, okay. Any comments you'd like to say on why you're looking to go on this particular board, or what interest it has?
I went to the first meeting and discovered that we were working on this amendments to the lakefront zoning ordinance.
Mhm.
And I became very interested, didn't think I could attend, but attended all of those meetings. And then everybody said, how come you're not on the committee? And I said, oh, yeah, I'll be on the committee. So here I am.
Okay, well, thank you for volunteering to do that. I move we approve Jana Thompson to the Lakes and Natural Resource Committee.
I second that.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses, and thank you for your interest in getting involved in this. I know you've also been very interested in Friends of Messalonsky,
Yeah,
so they all tie in really, really well,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
yeah,
we all know how important water quality is.
yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jana,
Yes.
and thank you for coming back.
Yes.
Don't forget to stop in and see Mary and she'll swear you in.
Yes, just stop in anytime.
Yeah,
Not Wednesday.
Not on Wednesday.
Not on Wednesday.
Good point.
okay, thank you.
Good night.
Okay. Now our next one is for, Wyatt Cedars. I thought maybe that was, Wyatt is, applying for the library board youth representative. He's a junior at the high school, likes the library and ooh, likes chess.
Mhm.
Oh, you're a smart guy. Could you just tell us briefly why you'd like to serve on the board?
Yeah, sure. I was recommended to join by a family friend who's on the board, Lonnie Carlson.
Mhm.
And I think that it would be a great experience for me to have and that I could bring some fresh new ideas.
Okay, awesome. And it's really good because you're a junior, so we'll have you hopefully for a couple of years. So, I move that we appoint, Wyatt Siders as the youth board representative to the library board.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone? All in favor? Oh,
I just want to say thank you for your interest. It's just so refreshing to have youth involved, want to be involved in something like this. So thank you.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Melanie?
Melanie?
Absolutely. Yes, and welcome aboard, Wyatt.
And I'll vote yes as well, so that's 5 yes, and thank you very much for your interest and who knows, you may see a lot of new programs, thanks to your input. And then our third person is Doug Sawyer. Doug Sawyer is, we're looking to appoint to the ad hoc short-term rental committee. Doug is with Generators of Maine and has more qualifications and that I want to go through here. And additional has been on the fire and rescue for 23 years, so he's a familiar face around town. Any reason why you'd like to help us on this, Doug?
Yeah, just want to get a little more involved on this end.
Yeah, we knew we were
They'll have the perspective on emergency vehicles going down
emergency
camp
vehicles
roads.
going, yeah, he certainly will. Anyone have any questions or discussion? Okay, I move we appoint Doug Sawyer to the short-term rental committee,
Second.
and all in favor, Melanie?
There's a delay.
This is
Yes.
the delay. Dan,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
I vote yes. Woo-hoo. I think that makes us a full committee, Doug, so we'll hopefully get you to work.
You guys not hearing me?
There's a delay, Melanie.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have something else?
I feel my internet. No, I'm saying yes. I think my internet is being wobbly.
Oh, okay.
Hang on, I'm gonna see what I can do.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you. And then both of you will need to stop in and see Mary. We're closed on Wednesdays and she'll swear you in and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And you're welcome to stay the rest of the evening if you'd like.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to feel you were being excused, you know?
You're really welcome to have my job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, take care.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay, and then the last thing under this is we have a resignation from Kathy Wall. Mary, since there's been no activity regarding the subcommittee to explore the issue of B&Bs in the Belgrade area, I respectfully wish to withdraw my name as a potential member of the group. Please inform the select board and thank them for considering and approving me, from Kathy Wall. So,
Now,
I,
I have
Oh.
a little bit of background on this.
okay,
Because when I first approached Kathy about being on the committee, she said that she would have 6 months, that she would be able to commit 6 months.
right,
And so the reason she couldn't, I was hoping that maybe her 6 months was from the time that the committee actually was fully ready to start. But no, it's because she is starting a graduate program. She's starting a master's degree program in history in January.
Hmm.
So she will not have time to take this on.
in
So her 6 months was from April. when
her
first-
available time.
Yeah, her available
Okay.
time, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well, good for her that she's
I know.
doing that master's, that's impressive.
Very.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I move we accept the resignation of Kathy Wall with regret.
Second,
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes,
Peter,
Yes,
and I'll vote yes. And Laura, if you would send a appropriate note telling her we appreciate her help and thanking her for offering to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now I move we open unfinished business.
second,
Okay. So the first thing is the Boston Cane policy review.
but maybe we should move the bids for the maintenance garage.
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
oh, good.
So I
Of
move,
course, yeah.
let's postpone that one
Yeah.
and let's start with number C, bids for maintenance garage slabs, so that we can make sure Corey has a chance to be involved in this discussion. And it's, oh, there's Corey. So Lorna, do you want to take this, or Corey? How are we doing?
Sure, you all talked about this at your last meeting, you wanted some additional information, we had 2 bids. One from Bellavance Construction out of Belgrade for $25,350. And one from Central Maine Concrete and Jacking out of Oakland for $19,250. You do have a copy of photos, each with a project, they have been working on. And I also included, we had one letter, or email of recommendation for, the Bellavance Construction Company.
Okay,
And we didn't have any recommendations from
Did not have.
Central Maine Concrete.
Did not, no.
from the other company.
Corey, you're on.
He's still muted.
Ask him to-
Okay,
There we
did that work?
Yes, you
Yes.
all set, yep.
Okay, so I contacted both of them and didn't get much response from Central Maine Concrete. They were kind of put out about it. Actually, both of them were kind of put out about putting out photos and recommendations, but I did get some photos from each of them, kind of a limited basis, because they said neither one of them takes a lot of pictures, but that's what we got. And again, I have no opinion as to which way to go. I hear good things about Bellavance. And that's all I can say.
Okay,
So we're not much, that much further along.
Nope.
no,
One recommendation for Bellavance.
we're about where we were before.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. Well, it was encouraging to have at least one letter of recommendation for one of these folks.
Right, right.
I noticed that autocorrect took care of Mr. Bellavance's name, and changed it to Bell Events.
Sally, that's.
Events.
I did see that.
But I don't know, I don't want to be too brave with money. There is a significant difference in the costs or quotes, I should say, from each one. So really, for me, it comes down to confidence level that we would have in the execution of this, when time comes.
Right,
I wish Doug had stuck around a bit longer because the pictures of that house that's jacked up was his parents. And he verbally did tell me that it's an excellent job and he would recommend him to do anything.
yeah,
And that was Ron's company?
that was.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, I went by the other day and it looks tremendous.
Yeah, I've been driving by, watching the progress for the
Yeah.
last couple months.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm familiar with Bellavance just from people talking about the fact that he does good work. I'm not, I know nothing about the other company, which doesn't really mean anything. It's not a Belgrade company, so it's not that I'd have any reason to know. So Dan, do you have any thoughts one way or the other on?
I don't know anything about the other company either. I mean, if we've got a recommendation for one of them that's a little bit more,
Okay.
I mean, it's not like it's $30,000 more.
Melanie, any thoughts or?
I mean, it's a $6,000 difference and we're pouring a slab. So I guess for me, we're not talking about jacking a building and adding a foundation. A slab should be fairly routine for any concrete company. I know Ronnie, I know that they do good work, but I also, the fact that there's a $6,000 difference there is Ronnie more money because he's been doing it longer and he, maybe gets more money for what he does? Or is the quality of the work going to be that much different that we save the town $6,000 and we still have a concrete slab?
Right. This is so far out of my
And we do-
center of expertise.
Yeah. Well, slab, anyway.
Well-
There's nothing to a slab.
Yeah,
It's,
okay.
it's the jacking factor.
And we're not
Right.
talking about jacking.
We're not talking about jacking.
As Melanie said, we're just talking about a slab.
So, are we?
So I'll go out on a limb here, okay? The overall cost of this is not huge. So $6,000 on basically 20,000, just a little bit, is a big chunk, percentage wise.
Right.
So based on that alone, I'd be in favor of going with a lower cost option, just because it's lower cost. I've done business with Ron, it's nothing against his business, it's just coming in higher.
Right.
I don't know why we would need to spend more money for a slab. If it were a house, jacking, walls, I would have a different opinion at this time. We're talking a slab.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, at least from where I'm concerned. Anyone else?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm like, if it's an easy way for us to get done what we know we need to get done and still save $6,000 in the process, I say we
Yes.
save $6,000.
It's about 25% of the project, so.
Right. And I know we all want to support Belgrade businesses.
Yes, very much.
So I feel like we're all torn in that direction.
Yes.
Because we want to
Right.
support Belgrade business.
Yeah,
But with the cost difference, it does make it hard.
It does.
okay. All right, I move we award the contract to Central Main Concrete and Jacking to do the slab at the town of Belgrade Maintenance Garage.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Melanie?
Yes.
Okay, Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara? Peter?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So, that's 5 yeses, so if one of you and Corey would coordinate with that, okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Corey.
Enjoy your ceremony tonight.
Will do. Thanks.
Okay, all right, so now let's go back to the Boston Post clean policy review. Lorna, do you wanna walk us?
So before we open,
Oh, go ahead, Melanie.
well, so I was just gonna say, before we open that item, on Sunday, I had the opportunity to go to the celebration of life for Artie Clark, the current Boston Post cane recipient. And I wanted to let the board know that it was so nice to talk to the family, how proud that man was. I mean, and when you look at the list of accomplishments that he had over his lifetime, his daughter Nancy said he told people over and over when he saw them, he would tell his stories and he would say, do you know, I'm the Boston Post cane recipient for the town of Belgrade. I'm Belgrade's oldest citizen.
Oh, wonderful.
And he was trying so hard to get to 100. And he actually passed 2 months shy of it. So when they had a 100th birthday party for him, so he thought maybe he still got there. So it was pretty cool. The family was really happy about it. I talked to them about some of the changes, and they said they would have absolutely loved to have a replica cane. They think that that is a fantastic idea. So just wanted to pass that on.
Okay, thanks, Melanie.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank
Now
you.
we can open up.
And today, on his 100th birthday, he was buried in the Belgrade Cemetery.
Oh,
Yes,
was today?
exactly. Yes, it is. So they said he's returning to Belgrade for his 100th birthday.
Right.
That's awesome.
And also, I got there late, as things were winding down, and they had a lot of treats left over, sweets from Hello Good Pie. So Don said, go ahead and take them, and so I cut them into smaller pieces because they were quite generous servings. And made a little
More.
for all of the employee outposts. Town office and outposts today.
Way to go.
So everybody had
Nice.
a little treat
So
from
you-
Artie
That's
Clark's
cool.
celebration, yeah.
You were the Cushman Bakery delivery person, huh? Remember they used to go door to door?
That's right.
Yeah.
Hello Good Pie, but they want to make sure that Don said, make sure you tell them it's Hello Good Pie. So I
Okay,
told them all it was Hello Good Pie,
okay,
but everybody enjoyed hearing that.
yeah.
So, you did review, the policy at your last meeting. Mary and I worked on this and, made the edits that you all suggested. So you have a revised draft to take a look at. I would also note, Mary mentioned, change the age from 90 to 95 on page 2.
Certificates.
Yes, so the presentation, it's the second paragraph on the page. Residents who are 90 years older. She said she would like to have that changed to 95.
95, yeah, for the certificates. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, reading through this, the only thing I don't agree with is I don't think the town should be taking back the replica cane. They're not that expensive. I think the person should be able to keep the family should be able to keep the replica cane.
how much are they, Lauren, do we know?
Around $100.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad.
no,
What they are.
I know the other towns don't take them back the replicas.
yeah,
They're really nice. They should.
I mean, I have no feeling one way or the other, so.
I mean, if you
Okay.
purchase the plaque, you're gonna spend 60 or 70.
I mean, I'm sure this
Something
family,
nice.
like Melanie said, would love to
Right.
have that
They would,
replica
I'm sure
cane
they
to be
would.
able to have on the wall.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know, it's just,
Okay.
yeah,
I-
they're expensive.
Yeah. I think, and then just talking to the Clark family, that it's not like we do this every year. So if we,
Sometimes it's 6 years.
yeah,
Right.
so if we have to purchase a new 3 every 10 or 15 years, I think we can swing it.
Okay, so we
Okay.
just want to take out then that second sentence in the last paragraph. The town clerk's office must be notified and the replica cane returned.
um,
Yes.
I would just say the town's clerk's office must be notified if the recipient of the Boston Post cane dies or otherwise refuses or, so I think just in the middle, and the replica cane returned.
Right, remove
Just
that.
remove that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Okay, and I have a couple other questions. I brought this up at the last meeting. I'm still kind of struggling with it. Where under eligibility and selection, we say the term resident refers to a person who has physically resided at a fixed, permanent, and principal home in the town. And to me, that sounds like somebody has to have lived in the same house for however many years, 25 years. I don't know. I just have a little question about fixed, permanent, and principal home.
Would it make sense to say the term resident refers to a person who has physically resided in the
In
town?
Belgrade, in Belgrade,
In the town of Belgrade?
yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. I just
yeah,
struggle with permanent and principal home, because what if someone downsizes or moves in with a, you know, a grown child, an adult child or something like that?
I don't have a problem with it, but if it's something you struggle with, it could be something that other people struggle with, so let's just make it clean and clarify it.
Okay,
I mean, that would be my suggestion. So that's on which paragraph here?
it's the second paragraph of eligibility and selection.
Okay, oh,
Oh, I just saw that we just saw
So-
smell.
oh,
I'm sure
She'll be
they'll
back.
dump that on.
she'll be
so it'd be a resident who is
Physically
physically resided in the
town
town of
of
Belgrade.
And then in the next sentence, I don't know, I just, as, I'm sorry, I didn't look at this, you know, sooner, but, nobody was around yesterday anyway to do anything about it. The select persons recognize that numerous individuals establish residency in our town late in life. Therefore, the determination of who the eldest citizen is shall be made by the town clerk. I just don't understand what the connection is between people establishing residency late in life. How does that make the determination be by the town clerk? I just don't understand the connection.
Oh,
That I'm not.
To me, there is
sure.
none. You know,
I mean,
not
maybe we should-
overtly.
Maybe we should just say the determination shall be made by the town clerk.
I think so.
Agree.
I
You
don't,
don't really need that first sentence.
okay. I don't know.
And then you
Although
take-
it's true, it has, I don't know what it has to do with
well, and
eligibility.
if somebody comes here late in life, they're not gonna be here 25 years, so they're not gonna get the cane anyway,
Right,
Right.
right?
right.
Right, but is it, are we trying to justify how we do eligibility? Or just explain what it is we have?
My guess is the town clerk probably sees more people and therefore they have the best handle on
Precisely.
figuring out who it is. But I agree that first sentence, we probably
Okay,
don't
and we
need.
don't need therefore, so just
And we
the
don't need, and
the
therefore, we
determination.
don't need therefore.
determination.
Heretofore, we need.
And then just one more thing, if you can excuse my pickiness, in the first paragraph on the second page. This is actually a continuation, I think, of the method for the search. What I would do is say, move the first sentence on the second page. All nominations must be received in the town clerk's office 30 days from the posting of the notice. And move that to the end. Because the next sentence, the search may also include, you know, informal survey, various other things. That goes to how the town clerk, she has to post a notice and,
Right,
you know, this, that, and the other thing. So if we just move that all nominations to the end, then that, I think, makes a little bit more sense.
It also follows a sentence that talks about the nomination form in general.
right,
Right,
So it does flow a lot more logically.
okay.
okay.
And then my last thing is. Just one, in the sort of.
She had an
the
extra
middle-
cup of coffee
I
this morning.
know, the middle of the paragraph of the presentation. On a plaque to be displayed along with the original Boston Post cane at the town of Belgrade Municipal Office. M is lowercase and O is uppercase, so
Got it.
I think M should be uppercase,
Uppercase, yeah,
but they both should be lowercase, one or the other.
Right.
And that's the end of my witness.
okay, well, since you did that, on the first sentence where we took off, the select persons recognize blah, blah, blah. therefore, we're gonna take that out, so the sentence will start. The determination of who the eldest citizen is shall be made by the town clerk. I don't think we need to say furthermore, I think we say, just start with the select person.
Oh, yeah,
Recognize the elder person may not wish to receive the title.
yes.
I think we can strike furthermore because we don't have that extra sentence in
Right,
there.
okay, good.
I'd like to
Okay.
add one other line, but I don't know if we have to add the line or not, we just could decide we wanna do it. Under the presentation, since we still have the original Boston Post game, very few towns still do. I think we should bestow the title of eldest citizen on the selectee. Have their picture taken holding the original Boston Post cane, if the family wants it, and then present them with the replica.
Mhm.
I think they should be able to have their picture taken with the original one, and then it goes back in the case.
I think we should do that, providing the person is able to get to the town office to do that.
Well, I mean.
Right.
Either way.
Or we could take it to them.
We could take it
The
to
select
them,
board is
yeah.
one that's gonna be doing the presentation anyway, or
Yeah.
our chair, so you can take it. have
We
their
could take
picture
it
taken.
to them,
Cause that's what they always did. They
Yeah.
were allowed to
have a
the
picture,
presentation,
yeah,
because that is an original one with a gold head.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
so do we wanna add that, or do we wanna just do that as a,
Doesn't
mean,
matter
easy
me, it's
enough
just
to
I
add.
Prefer to make sure we do that, so.
If we wanna do it, I think it's good to
Have it right.
have it in writing,
Yep,
because
yeah.
what happens in 10 years when none of
when
us.
no one remembers,
still
right?
board.
Shall bestow. Shall bestow the selector, present him with a replica cane. And shall cause, a photo of this presentation. Shall. Be. Posted at the town office as well. And if you're gonna have a photo, you have to do it with the original cane. Right? A photo of the eldest person.
I don't know that we need to commit to having the photo.
No.
Okay,
Just like at the town
They're
office.
getting their name put on.
Yeah.
But
on the plaque.
it's just
okay.
when they're presented with the, whatever it is, it says that they're the oldest person.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They have their picture taken with the original Boston Post can, and then are presented with the replica.
okay. All right, so do you wanna rework
Well,
this? next
I guess-
meeting? Melanie?
I-
Go ahead.
I like the idea of, sorry, hopefully you guys can hear me. I don't know what the deal is for this tonight, but I like the idea of us taking a photo as well, and if we present it, the photo into the annual report for that year, we'll have a photo of who that person was and when it was presented.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Right,
Put it
just,
in the annual
we don't
report.
have to.
We don't have to,
Photo here, we put it in the town report.
in the
Yeah.
town report,
Yeah.
okay,
Good idea.
okay,
Right.
good idea.
Yep.
Okay. So, if we have all the corrections, get back, hopefully in 2 weeks, we can get this approved and signed.
And
Okay.
on the nomination form, the person who's nominating is asked for their telephone number and email address, but the nominee is just asked for a telephone number. But I mean, a lot of people are, getting more and more adept with email, so I would put the email on for the.
Or for contact,
For
even,
the, for
how
the,
about a
Nominee.
contact email address?
Sure.
Cause if it's not the person, it could be their son or their daughter or their caregiver.
yeah,
So there'd be a way to get in touch with them if we, I don't know if we need to, but. Okay. If we're all set on
yeah,
that,
those two lines could be switched around, and it could just say date of birth, and then instead of telephone number, your nominee became a resident of the town of Belgrade. And then down below, it could be telephone number and email. You see what I'm saying?
Did you want the nominees email though?
Yeah, that's what I said, the nominee's email.
So we're going to add a line on the top.
I would put it
Yeah.
up top because you may want to call the nominee. Hi Barbara, I'm coming over today.
Yeah, but if you say nominee's date of birth, and then on that same line, the year the nominee became a resident of the town of Belgrade. And then on the second line, say telephone number and email. So that's parallel to how it is down below.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
I can move it around when I feel.
The same thing here down there.
But you know, do we normally have someone who's nominating? So if I'm nominating Dan, but Dan doesn't know. And so why would we reach out to Dan via email? Do you see
We
what I
asked for their
mean?
telephone number, so.
Yeah,
I think it's just to have it on hand, I think that's.
Yeah, and so that way, if.
I didn't know if it was like a surprise. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
I think,
Does that
I think
make
that there's,
But I don't think you necessarily contact them. I
Okay.
think whoever's filling that form out, is one puts that information on.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just do, I'll say.
okay,
okay.
okay, anything else?
15 minutes later. Sorry.
Okay. Let's go to item B under unfinished business, short-term rental ad hoc committee.
Now, we do need another person, we're supposed to have. Five, so with Kathy gone,
Oh, we do need another?
we need
I
another.
have someone who told me they would serve on it. I will contact. But does anyone else have another person, just in case that person has changed their mind?
Unless we want to say the committee will consist of at least 4 members. In the
Yeah, but
charge.
4 voting members, 4 is a bad number to vote.
I know.
Right? So I mean, I will contact the person who had told me they would do it, but. We got our 5th, but does someone else have someone they think they can bring on?
I don't.
Okay. I had someone and then they're going to be away for 3 months, so that's no help.
Right, and
I
the
had
person
4th
who-
person.
The person who I initially contacted isn't in Belgrade during the school year. They're in Bethel.
Oh, okay, all right. So I'll go back to my person, and I guess we all need to look again. And maybe Lorna, if you could put something out, we're looking for, at least 1 more member. And we're also looking, I'm jumping way ahead, we're still looking for a water trustee, so maybe, 2 positions we need in town.
Yeah.
Okay, short-term ad hoc committee. Who wants to take this? Lorna? Barbara? Peter?
So you reviewed the charge of the committee at your October 1 meeting, and asked for you made some changes.
Right.
I had a good discussion on that, so those changes or updates to the charge are included. It's just a draft, going by what the conversation was at your October 1 meeting.
October meeting,
Yes.
okay.
And Peter did send out a link with some information to everyone. I didn't print, I asked the office if they would, and they were able to get that today, so we do have
Yeah.
copies on your tabletop. Melanie, I'll put your copy in your mail slot.
Okay. Is that mine or yours?
I think this is mine.
Okay, I've got mine here, so, here, this is mine, okay. Yeah, this looks like it's good information, so.
I thought it was interesting. It was not an exhaustive research thing. I just tried to find some evidence of what some towns in Maine have done relative to this. And I landed on this one site that showed these 3 communities which had something. Of the 3, I think Rockland might be most comparable to Belgrade. Certainly not Portland.
Yeah,
And Bar Harbor's got so many visitors.
Yeah.
I just don't see that
yeah,
is really applicable, but I thought it was interesting that at least 3 communities have taken a stance and say, okay. They had limits.
right,
Not less than so many nights rented would this apply, it would be only for those longer than, I think it was 28 days or something.
yeah,
And then in those cases, that's where these things kicked in. I thought it was interesting. It
Yeah.
took a stance on it, and have gone forward, so.
okay, all right. Anyone have any changes they want to make to that committee charge?
No, I think it's good to have the charge in place. I think some of the questions that are listed here will be answered and the group goes forward and says, this is
Right.
what we recommend.
And,
Okay.
and also, we did say we wanted them to look at issues of septic systems. The Lakes and Natural Resources Committee is also looking at septic systems. So this committee may not have to reinvent the wheel, you know, they should just start with the Lakes and Natural Resources Committee is thinking, not that they have to recommend the exact same thing, but I mean, they've already done a considerable amount
They've
of
done some
research
work
on
on-
septic
yeah.
issues,
Interesting.
so.
Yeah, and I know that both, I believe it's this Saturday. David Roque, I know I think he was with DEP. He's retired, he came and spoke, he's spoken a couple times on septic systems. And he's speaking, I believe, this Saturday in Rome. It's an open meeting, talking about septic systems, and one of the things is you can have a really good septic system, but if you're on sandy soil. It sort of nothing stays, just, they call it shortcutting through. So, that would be, I'll get that flyer, maybe if we can have you put that one out. So I know Rome is looking at it. They now have I think a water quality committee. And I know that BLA has a water quality committee, and we're sort of trying to work together on trying to make septic a bigger issue. Like, do you know where your septic system is? When did you last have it pumped? You know, just so people go, oh, I didn't have any idea where it is, you know. So anyway, just trying to begin to raise awareness as part of the education process of knowing that this is not a short-term issue, this is gonna be a long-term issue, so. Anything else on the short-term ad hoc committee?
Get another person.
Get another person. I'll call tonight or tomorrow. Okay, senior tax assistance ordinance review. Lorna?
So you reviewed the first draft. And Phil had, done a legal review of it, was good to go with it. We did, talk about adding in the work program. The old ordinance, it's in place right now, but pretty much out of date, legally speaking. So, Phil did a draft adding that in so that it creates very comprehensive ordinance. I did have a question for him because it was not clear to me, and which he did respond to me, Tuesday today. That I wanted to know if we were issuing rebates after taxes had been paid in full, because it doesn't seem to mention that anywhere in the ordinance, that's part of it. Then we're not gonna give a rebate of taxes if they haven't been paid yet. Right? And he agreed. He said taxes must be paid in full, right, to receive a rebate, but it doesn't say that anywhere.
So, okay, let me just play devil's advocate. If somebody's having a really hard time paying their taxes and they're looking for assistance. Do they have to write us a check that's gonna be hard for them to cover so that we then turn around and give the money back? Or is there a way that we can give a credit for the amount of the rebate as long as the rest of the bill is paid in full?
I'm not sure legally you could do that. I don't know.
I mean, to me, that seems to be,
But
if this is designed to
Fill
help
that question.
help people who are having problems paying their taxes and they're going to get let's say we're gonna give them a $400 rebate, and that is a financial burden for them. They have to pay it to us. So that we then can turn around in, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe, and pay it back. And that may create a financial burden. So is there a way to give them a credit wants amount, I don't know how to word, a credit
Yeah.
equal to the amount of the outstanding balance of their tax bill, so that they can say, okay, I owe you $800, here's 400, and I'm gonna take my $400 credit, and now I'm paid in full.
But what if it doesn't get paid at all?
Well, this is that they paid everything but the amount of the credit back to them, is what I'm asking.
But Lauren's asking, what happens if someone chooses not to pay anything?
Well, then we have a process we go through for folks who don't pay their taxes, right? I mean, that's the same story you have now. What do you do
Right,
if someone doesn't
but-
pay their taxes?
But
This whole thing says this is predicated on being a tax credit rebate. So a rebate, you get a rebate on your
Paid taxes.
pay tax.
paid taxes, you
Right.
get a rebate on your TV, you get a rebate on your.
I
Yeah,
understand
whatever
the
it
terminology,
counts,
I'm
yeah.
saying, are we accomplishing what we are trying to accomplish? And I don't know, maybe we are.
It's a great question because it's, you know, it goes to a very heartfelt and emotionally charged event when people have to pay money to the town. I'm just not sure about the legality of it when it comes to terms like obligations that each citizen owes to the town.
Right,
I'm not sure how you even do that.
Is it a question of timing in terms of when the taxes are due? Because there are.
I don't smell anything.
Oh,
Our internet is awful.
She should probably blue wire connect. I'm trying to think of it. Just Ethernet connect right into it, because I bet she's on wireless and something's happening, just. Yeah.
Dan,
What,
any,
I can ask.
any thoughts on
Bill that question.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
again, I don't know legally. Legally, we can. What you're talking about, is instead of a rebate, it's basically giving them a discount.
Right,
I'm basically giving them a tax credit equal to, as approved by this ordinance. A tax credit is applied to their bill.
Right, and I don't know if we can do that.
We can ask, I guess.
I think we can ask. I mean, to me, if I'm someone who's really struggling,
Oh, and I understand what you're saying.
that's what I'm saying, we get to the point and, you know.
It's not very clean either. Where's the paper trail? When somebody pays their tax bill, it gets entered in the system and then.
We would have to
issue-
approve a tax credit and apply a tax credit, which would be electronically applied.
Yeah,
Here's
I
a
just
tax
don't, I
credit.
just don't know if it's legal,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because right now.
because it really
I
is
think
a
the way, I
discount.
think the way they're saying that it's going right now is you pay your taxes and then you apply for a rebate.
Right,
You've got to go
Right.
through the process of proving you qualify for the rebate and then you get your rebate.
right,
Now,
right,
they'd have to try to pre-approve all of that stuff ahead
Right.
of
right,
time.
right.
Right,
If you're gonna do it that your way.
yeah,
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just
Yeah.
not sure.
I'm not either, I just. That was sort of one of the questions I had looking at it was. You know, the state credit, the state's gonna give them a certain part, they still have to pay another part. But, I don't know. Now, well. How do they get their state credit? They apply to the state. And whether they paid their bill or not, they get a credit from the state? Is that how it works?
I know most state, when you're doing anything with the state,
You pay.
like your heat pumps, you don't get a discount off the heat pump when you buy it, you gotta
No.
apply for the rebate.
have
After you
to
buy it, you
prove.
get your money back.
You have to
Right.
prove you purchased it.
But, so when these folks are getting the rebate from the state, do they have to send in a paid tax bill from the town?
That I don't know, but I would assume they've got to show,
You
they've got to show something.
Yeah,
I don't
can't
know.
rebate something that's not paid.
Well, that's why I wonder if rebate's the right word. But that would be a
That
question
came
I
from
have.
Phil.
How do they get the money from the state? They send in their bill, they
It's
qualify,
a
they meet all
tax
the things.
credit.
It's a tax credit. So ours
they
could
don't
be
pay it, they
a
don't pay it to the
tax
state.
credit. That, because they're not paying a bill to the state. The state is writing them a check as a tax credit, and then because that's a program the state allows, I guess.
It's
I
a
would just
credit,
like to
it's
be
a credit
consistent.
on their taxes paid. When you file your taxes. Every April.
So it's gonna be a credit on your
So
income
it
tax.
come off your income tax,
Okay, all right.
so you don't get a diminished state property or whatever, it's, okay.
I don't think
So you're
it's,
still proving that it's paid.
I don't think it's a
On your
separate.
tax.
Well, you're-
I
You're
included
proving
all
it's
of that
paid if you
information
get audited,
previously.
right? You don't
Did
get
anybody
audited, yeah.
save that so we could look to see? I had included their application. Does
Well, I
anybody
think
have
I
a
have,
copy of
because
that?
I have.
I have it at home, I don't have it
I
here.
think I have
do.
it here.
I don't know that it's a standalone program that you can apply for at any time,
Well,
but
I think there was an.
but I do not know that for certain.
So that's one question I would try to get, because I had 3 or 4 other questions on this. So other than figuring out what percentage we want to use, that's one. But. So while we're thinking about that tax credit, which I think we'll have to figure out how the state does it, and I don't know if there's
I
a
have
better
the
way to do
form,
it.
If you want the form.
Yes.
So, okay. Oh, but that
Property tax fairness credit.
that goes
This
in
is
with
the
their,
state, this is what you file with your
state income
state
tax.
income tax.
So that's, so it is filed
Yeah.
with state income tax.
Okay,
It's like tax form.
It does, doesn't it? Yes, see instructions enclosed with form 1040 ME. So they've already paid their taxes for the year.
Right.
And so if they qualify, they get a credit on what they paid in.
well,
They're not, the state's not giving them something on nothing. Does that make sense?
the assumption is they paid it.
Right, they say
No,
enter,
this is with your income tax.
Yeah.
Oh,
right, but you
What
have
Carol's
to-
saying, the only way you're gonna prove it is if you ever get audited.
If you get audited,
Just saying.
I said I paid it, but I didn't.
But you
Well,
have to enter, on the form, you have to enter the property tax you paid on your home in
Right.
2023.
in the year prior.
In the year
Okay.
prior.
In the
You're-
year
you're-
prior. Okay, all
yeah.
right.
You're legally testifying to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't do it without
Yeah.
lying.
It's not a credit. There's Melanie.
Okay.
Yes, she's back.
Okay, so,
Welcome back. Poor thing, doesn't feel well and she can't get her keys to work.
so I have a couple questions. This says that only one person in the household can apply. Fine. But what happens? And you have to have applied the year before. So. You apply in the husband's name. The year before. And then the husband passes away. You can't apply the next year. Because you didn't apply the prior year, there'd be like a gap year in there.
But if you apply, if you
Yes,
file
you
your
could.
taxes jointly, I would think.
Right, yes, you could.
Well,
course.
not on this,
What
this
what
says,
page are, what
Where
page
you
are
read.
you on?
well, I'm on,
Qualifying applicant.
the applicant must have filed the prior year MPTFC.
What?
And received a refund, it's on the very
What?
first page, 3.13,
Page 1?
3.13.
Page 1.
Okay,
So I'm wondering if we should just define. A qualifying applicant. That somewhere, if someone's passed away, that they're either. Spouse or life partner or significant other, whatever we use. That they used it the year before, we can take that as credit for the next year.
so a qualifying applicant is after review of a complete application under section 4, qualifying applicant is a person who is determined by the town manager or their designee to be eligible for a tax credit rebate under the terms of this ordinance.
Okay, so go down,
So
to
you would know.
go down to 3.13.
And it says the applicant must have filed for the prior year and received a refund, the main property tax fairness credit. Main property tax fairness.
That
credit.
form that we were just looking
That's
at.
the
Right.
form.
But what if that's filed in one person's name? And that it's now the spouse filing the next year.
Well, they filed jointly.
Not everyone.
True, not everybody.
So the widow didn't file, they're not eligible. Why would they be? They didn't file. They filed their taxes separately. They filed their taxes separately. The husband cut a credit, the wife didn't. So she did not file the previous year. She did not get,
That's
She
my
did not
point.
get
So
a
she
credit.
has to wait a year. Well, I think.
I
it's
think
what
we're
it is.
making it more complicated than it needs to be.
I just think that can come out, well, why can't?
Mhm.
So that's one question I had, spouse or life partner. And then deadlines, it says no later than, what's the state deadline for filing this? Would be April 15th?
Yes, but I think they extended this year's until October something.
So it's just,
They
we
gave
should,
them a
we
bit
should have our
longer.
compliance be the same as the state.
We would follow the state, I'm sure. That would be the easiest.
I mean, that's why it's got the yellow mark there. I just wanted to make
No
sure.
later than, right.
So
So that
we
would be
need
April
to,
15th.
well, or
It
if
couldn't
someone,
be, it couldn't be April 15,
Right.
because they may not have, they may not have their, whatever they need to prove that they've gotten the credit by April 15. I
okay,
mean, and the state's always, extending
okay,
deadlines, like, for this, I know they did tell me that, this year, the application process had been extended to October.
CJ.
October something. And I'm not sure why that is,
Yeah.
they did not tell me that, you don't have anything to do that, I'm sure, Dan, at the state level, but I didn't. Have you heard it?
so
Now,
I guess,
let me just ask, if we have people who are destitute, who cannot pay their taxes at all, wouldn't they be? Is there any accommodation for them through general assistance or anything like that? I mean,
well, probably their assets are, I don't know.
You know, that's when it comes to the select board, you start paying property taxes.
yeah.
Right.
So I think that
There is
I
a
don't think
program
we
in
have
place
to
already.
try to take care of every worst case scenario, because in this, because it seems like there's another way to, if someone cannot pay their property taxes,
Right,
then they request an abatement.
well, and I'm not trying to do that, I'm just trying to get definitions in here. Like, what are we gonna use for deadline in that yellow space? It says no later than blank.
Right.
So my question is, what was the state deadline, but should our deadline be the same as the state deadline? Or should our deadline be June 30th, or do we pick a random one, or?
Well, I mean, I was assuming that if these were, whose yellow is this? Is this Phil's or is this yours?
Phil and I both did yellow.
Okay. And so can Phil help us at all with these?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay,
Okay, because I don't think it,
You all would want to determine the percentage under 5.1.1, page 2,
Right.
section 5.
whether it's gonna be 30, 40, or 50%,
Right.
right? Okay,
And so you saw that the state did let me know that we should budget 33% higher than what they gave me for figures, because they are increasing the credit next year.
Mhm.
So if we're giving a percentage of whatever the credit, the property owner received, they said you would be safe to budget, or we recommend you budget
Right.
33% higher, yes.
so if they're figuring 885, right?
Yeah,
616, 220, and we figure 210 returns. That's $185,000. And then we want, if we take 50%,
that's right, 95.
is 93,000 plus money for that other credit. So basically, to do it at 50%, we were gonna have to put 100,000 in this pool.
It would be 50% of that, if the average credit is 885, it would
Right.
be 50% of
Right.
that. So 442.50, right?
Right.
Times 210, 215
Yeah, it's gonna come
returns.
out the same place.
Yeah.
So,
But just bear in mind that no matter which percentage you use, that percentage is getting made up by the rest of the taxpayers in this town.
right,
Right,
Right.
And
So the
someone
higher you
did-
go, the more
right.
you're gonna.
you're burning
Yeah.
somebody else.
I
And
mean,
someone
I-
raised that same, viewpoint, yes, that last.
I mean, my thinking is that we start out at 30% at the lower end, so that we're cautious, see what it works, see what we get for experience,
See what kind of feedback we get.
and see what we get for feedback, and see if it even passes at town meeting or on the warrant, however we do that. And then, if we feel, oh, well, that next year we could do more, or we could change it or amend it, but. And
I wouldn't guarantee the state's going up either. We just got a notification from the financial office that. The legislature overspent by,
A billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
so now they're talking about, you can't pay for all the programs you passed. You may be going in next year, well, the legislature.
That's that information I
Yeah.
sent out to you that came out September
right,
30th.
yeah, I saw that.
Scary stuff.
Yeah, so. But, so I guess my sense is, I prefer to start small and expand instead of starting big and coming down.
That makes sense.
But,
And you can go whatever percentage. I gave you 3, but you do not have to do 30, you could do 25, you could do 20, you can, whatever the board,
right,
whatever you wanted to put forth. Those were just example
Right.
suggestions. Yeah, it's up to you all. Whatever you felt.
so do we want to try to fill in these yellow spots, or do we want to get more input from Phil? Do we like,
I don't think he'll give you input for the percentage.
okay,
That's totally up to the board.
Yeah, and I guess the question is the dates, because I'm not really familiar with
well, I'm not
what the
either,
dates,
Yeah.
what the sequence is.
I can work with Phil on that.
Yeah, because the dates obviously come for assistance here. It's gonna depend on. The tax returns from
The previous
the
year.
previous year in the state, so it's,
Right,
everything has to correspond with the
Right.
dates of the state, I would think.
right.
and then, on 5.2, the town manager at the first meeting in blank of each year. Number of people who requested assistance, well,
What's the most likely first tally? The town manager would know about the total number of credit rebates awarded would be,
well, if tax bills go out in September,
right?
They're due September.
They go
They're
out,
due September.
usually the end of July.
end of July,
June,
so
September.
is
The
it
tax
fair to
credit.
say that by the first meeting in January?
Or is that too soon?
Well, they would have had their bill for 6 months. So
I
I
think
would
that's
think they'd
too
be
late.
applying
If
by,
you're budgeting for a program to give people money, you want it way before then.
Budget, it's gonna have to come up for budget time.
so it'd
I
have to
would
be
say
December.
like the first meeting in October, to me, would be.
Sounds early, but I don't know, I
I
mean,
mean, you gotta have that number, those numbers.
you've gotta have that number
That's
somewhere,
when you start going through the budget process.
okay, October? I mean, I'm
Yes.
just trying to,
Yeah.
fill in
Why
some
don't
of
we
these
just
questions.
make some question marks and have
Right,
her talk
with
with Phil
Phil,
and say,
Yeah,
is this realistic?
right,
yeah.
Then
Were you thinking 30%, or did you want something lower, higher?
for me, no higher than 30%.
I was thinking it's not off with 25%.
I could live with 25.
That's
Right.
It's a quarter.
Mel's
Mel?
on him, she didn't have her hand raised. Mel, did you have anything?
No, can't hear you.
She's just delayed.
No, she's muted.
Oh, unmute Melanie. Sorry. I thought you were delayed. There you
Okay,
go.
sorry. I'm back on my phone now. I don't know what's going on with it. Keeps cutting out on the internet. My daughter and my grandkids are here, so I'm like, shut off everything that you're using. So, but anyhow,
see
either
that.
25 or 30, I would be comfortable with.
I did.
We didn't hear what
We
number,
couldn't hear you, Melanie.
what number?
25, 25.
Okay,
25.
that's what we're
Gotcha.
thinking, yeah, okay. And then
I
timing of
felt like
tax
we were
credit.
at an auction.
Right.
So on number 8, again, we need guidance from Phil on what
Right.
that yellow
Yeah,
blank
I
is.
think that would be-
Okay. And. Okay,
Oh.
So now on page 3,
yeah,
under, oh no, this is the work program. Right.
Right.
Okay. So the work program, they also get a
You get a what?
tax
well,
credits.
you can,
Oh, by working.
by
By working, yeah,
but you can only get one or the other.
right, I know,
Yeah.
but they get a rebate, they don't get a credit.
Right,
Off
they
their
get a
taxes,
check.
they get a check,
They get
Well,
a
this
check.
says tax credits will be paid through a tax rebate.
right.
So there you go.
Best of both worlds.
I mean, anyway. And you're younger and, all sorts of things. So, I guess my biggest concern on this is nowhere in here does it have wages. Is it the minimum plus or what's the maximum? The old one said you get paid, $15 an hour, up to $7.50 or something. So I'm wondering if we could put somewhere in here a note saying each January, and the select board will assign the pay scale and the amount of hours. So that every time the minimum wage goes up, we don't have to come back and change that somewhere we have like an addendum that we can just alter instead of changing the whole ordinance.
Oh, yeah,
Why
that's,
don't you just say you're gonna go by the state, whatever the state minimum wages?
Well,
That way, if it goes up, it goes up.
yeah.
well, 14
But I
bucks
know
isn't a
in
lot.
the previous information about the work program, that there was a maximum of
There's a maximum amount,
$750
$750 per person.
$750.
And-
And here there's no stated maximum.
There's no stated maximum.
Yeah,
there's
so
the
that's
number of
missing from
people.
this.
So I was like, what do we wanna use for wages? How many people do we wanna say will expend like 10 people at $750? So the maximum of $7,500 for this program, or do we want it lower?
Right.
Or- And then, only because I like to be difficult. What happens, we budget the money for this program. And we don't use it. Does it roll into next year's program? I think it does on the first part, but does it on the work program?
It would, it's not a separate pot of money. It's one pot of money.
Both programs are one pot of money.
Yes,
So if we say, oh, let's make room for 10 people and one person's used it, then we have money that's rolled ahead for the next year.
it's a reserve account.
Right.
You're
So
basically
now you're
setting
building,
up.
so that's why if
A
we have an
reserve account.
addendum that allows us to change, if all of a sudden we feel we've been too generous. Then all we have to do is change that this year we're only going to allow 4 people because we haven't had participation. I'm just looking at a mechanism to,
Yeah, I don't think you're restricting the number of people, you're restricting the
Oh.
number
I think we
by
can.
the amount of money you're putting into a reserve account.
But I think in the previous,
The old one's restricted.
the old
The old
one
one was
restricted the
restricted.
number of people and it restricted the amount, the maximum amount. that they
The
could
work
receive.
policy,
The work
Yeah.
policy. Do we have that? old
so
one?
that's all I'm trying to get to is.
Melanie's, got something to.
Yeah, we were limited to $750 per participant. And it was either
Right.
2 or 4 people.
2, I think, yeah,
I think it was 2.
well,
Two people in the town?
yeah. And that they didn't get, I think we didn't use it up the last.
Nobody, since I've been here, we had 2 gals come and, work, when we did the summer newsletter.
Right,
That was it, since I've been here.
yeah. And this money would go into the pot that includes this Belgrade tax credit rebate fund. So it all goes into one car. One car, unless we separate it. I'm just saying,
I do not recommend separating and making another reserve account.
I,
We have so many.
I'm just trying to get a mechanism that works.
And the previous program. It's regulations, it's not an ordinance. It doesn't have the 750, doesn't have the number of participants.
No, I didn't think it did. It had a.
But I remember seeing, I know that.
You could it was
earn up
750.
to 750.
Right,
I think the
Oh, wait,
budget
wait,
was
sorry. Here it is,
$1,500.
Now here it is, Belgrade ordinance. This was voted in 2010. The town of Belgrade shall adopt a volunteer work program that permits claimants for at least 60 years of age to earn benefits up to a maximum of 750 by volunteering to provide services to the town of Belgrade. The tax credit will be paid by tax abatement, but that doesn't specify any number of people.
somewhere.
The
I've
budget,
seen-
I think
I
it
think
was
it's
the
fine.
budget.
Maybe
The
it's
budget
the
was
budget.
1,500.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So you
that
say,
went
okay,
to-
two people
Two
can do it.
people could do that, or four people.
But you're
could-
not
yeah.
doing that because if you set up a reserve account for a property tax assistance program for seniors. You have a pot of money and you're going to either rebate if they qualify with the property tax credit program with the state, or if they don't, they're gonna be able to work. You could set a maximum that they could earn, like you're doing with the 25% for the rebate under the
Right,
state program that we're helping, in a sense, mirror. But if they don't qualify for that and they do the work program, you could say, we will, and a senior could work, and earn up to a maximum blah, blah, blah rebate. And you could set a dollar amount.
well, and then,
Well, I think at the time it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, so I'm pretty sure you were there at this time. Was the minimum wage $7.50 an hour? So we figured 10 hours of work at minimum wage.
I don't know, I thought minimum wage was more than that, but it might have been. I don't remember what it was back then.
That'd be $75.
Yeah. That would only be $75.
Right, they'd have to work 100 hours to
Okay.
get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some reason
so
I-
no,
I think minimum wage was more than that, but.
well, that's one of the questions I think we need to figure out, how to do it so that we don't have to keep changing the ordinance. If we wanna say minimum wage, are we going to get people that'll work for, what is it now, 14 or something?
No, it's more than that. I think isn't it 1475?
Well, I know it went up, so,
Yeah, why not?
you know,
I like your idea about having a mechanism so that we just rely on whatever that value is.
right, whether it's an addendum or on, on April 1st or whatever the time is.
Yeah.
We can change it and set hours, make changes to it. And then my other question is, let's say we fund this at 25% and we figure, just for giggles, $7,500, 10 people at $750. I mean, that's how we get to this number of money. What happens when we have, so we have in our pot now $2,000, but we have applicants for $60,000.
We only rebate what we have for money. I
But do
think
we
it
do
says
it do we do it pro rata? Do we do it first come, first serve?
I think it's first come, first served, because the applications would be date and time stamped.
See, I was thinking we could say we'll pay up to 25%, everyone's in, we have 100 applications, and then we do a percentage. But then how do we allocate this work program money if there's not enough money to fund all the people at the 25%?
Again, I think we're making it more difficult.
Oh,
Have we had that much competition for,
No, we
this
haven't, but if you're building a program and you're saying we have this work program, we're gonna say, well, we don't have the work program anymore, because we gave it all out on part A.
You know, you're gonna we're gonna have to budget money for the work.
Right,
It's gonna have to be a separate budget line. like a
Budget
separate
line.
item.
right. Doesn't have to be
It
a
can all be
reserve.
kept in the same thing, but it's gonna have a separate line. Item,
Yeah.
Ledger.
That's my feeling, because otherwise, then you have people that plan on working and they're gonna work in June and we ran out of money in April and,
right?
you know, we. But I don't know if it needs to be a separate reserve account, but it certainly has to be a certain
Separate.
line item.
And depending on what people's taxes are, they might be able to get more money.
They might get
Working.
more money working than they
Working
will on the
than
25%
tax
of a
credit,
rebate,
rebate.
but they may
True.
not be able to work. So
Right.
they take it, you know, someone's 85 and can't work, then they're gonna take the 25% rebate.
Right.
You know,
But
if they're able to work and say, oh, I can do this and get, then, oh, I can do it this way,
But a 60-year-old who's lived here for at least 2 years,
right? And a 60-year-old can't get the other credit anyway, they have to be 70,
Right.
right?
so. So do we wanna beat this horse some more, or do we have enough questions that we need to get resolved for the next go round?
Are there other towns who have the same? Program.
The original draft you saw was from another town. I simply changed the town name.
So maybe we talk to that town and say, how do you get around this, or how do you,
They don't have a work program. They only have that. But
Right.
where
Okay.
we've added in another piece, which most towns don't have both.
either or?
Right.
I think we could just do a budget item of what we're gonna do for the work program
No.
and add that
budget
to
item,
the 25%.
Line item for both of them. You
Yeah,
know, if it's 25%, you figure out the number you need for that, you budget that amount, and then you budget 10 people at up to $750 or whatever it is, whatever you're trying to put on a number,
yeah,
and then you budget that,
and see how you go that year, and based on our experience, probably we don't need 10 people, but do it the first year, it rolls in, the next year, we do it for 4 people. So-
yeah, well, what I would do is, on the work program, I wouldn't let the reserve account keep building. I'd come up with that number, enough to cover X number of people, first come, first served, every
Right.
year. If we have to, if there's $5,000 left at the end of the year, you make up that much next year to get it back to the original number.
Oh, okay, so
You
you're
just-
just looking to keep it
Right,
at that one
right.
level.
You know, I wouldn't want 500 people eventually saying they're gonna come to work for the town, because you'd have a reserve account.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about, is
Right,
that,
and we'd have to find work for all these.
Yeah,
things,
she would
too.
have to
Right.
find work. for
yeah,
So
Well, the transfer station needs
we
people.
pick a number of people that we're gonna allow, you know, first come, first served, if it's 10 people, that we wanna do, or 8 people, or whatever you wanna say.
Five people, if we've only ever had 2.
Right, you pick that
Right.
number, you
Are
budget
we
what
gonna
it's
get
gonna
10
cost,
people?
if you had to pay all of them. And then you go from there, that's, you just cap it.
do we have to pay what do we do about social security withholding or some things like that, if someone? Do we have to do anything about that?
They get a tax rebate.
Right,
It's not earnings.
I should look back
I
and
don't
see the 2 gals that we paid, if it was on the AP warrant, then they simply received. Right, that amount, the number of hours worked for the hourly rate.
Yeah,
If it went through payroll, that's a different story.
well, and are we obligated to put it through payroll?
Right.
I mean, I don't know,
No,
we can do it as a contract
you may need
employee,
to do it as 1099.
yeah,
You know, and then you're responsible if you, because a lot of people aren't, that are on these other programs, don't have to pay taxes anyway,
right,
so it's.
have we given you enough to work with?
I'm gonna suggest we start out small, and rather than like 10 people at 7,500,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say 4, you
Mhm.
know, at. First come, first serve, 4 people, $800 a pop, $3,200.
But you're not even giving that under the property tax fairness credit,
That's right.
Property tax.
220.
But you're making people work for this. there's a difference between the two of them.
True story.
You know, you physically gotta come in and do the hours, else you're not gonna get that $800. You may
Right.
only end up working and getting 75 or $100 if you don't wanna work those hours.
Sure.
Right.
Or we say,
And it's totally, it's not a totally different group of people, but it's, could be a totally different group of people.
Two different programs.
how about first come, first serve, 4 people, $500?
Fine with me.
Cause again, I'm thinking about like what Dan talked about before, the more you put money into this to give somebody else, you're actually also telling other people in town they still have to pay. And,
Right,
and so, you know, we have to, I think, approach that very sensitively about
Right.
that.
Yeah. It is, cause I mean, every dollar you put into it,
Yes,
gotta come from
taxpayers are paying
somewhere,
for.
Right.
Somebody, because we still have a budget,
right,
Right,
right?
so you're suggesting, Peter, four people at $500 now?
Yep.
So that's two.
first come, first serve.
Let's see what happens. I mean, after that, you know, down the road, if you have four people every single year,
Mhm.
maybe you expand it a little bit.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. I don't know, but I think when Lorna said there's only been 2 people ever,
Well, only that, I mean,
We've
since
seen-
I'm only in
You've been
year
here.
number 3, so we've only had 2 people, and that was this summer. We had them come in and fold newsletters.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they can't do. Right, when you think
Right.
about,
Right,
And
Yeah.
what is our liability?
right, I mean, you have somebody, you know, who loves to work with kids, do we want them to be working at the Center for All Seasons in the after-school program? Or-
Let me just go through background checks.
yeah, or they go down to the library and they work in the library for a little bit.
I don't
They can
think
go
the- I don't
weed
think the
whack.
liability is anything different than volunteer fire department.
Right.
Firefighters, you know, it's.
Yeah. I mean, that's what our insurance is for. Okay,
Okay.
anything else we want to beat on this one?
log it. Log it
uh,
hard.
Okay, Melanie,
Melanie had something.
Carol,
yeah,
Yeah, before we're done beating that, just my thought on not necessarily having someone at the Center for All Seasons or at the library, because if we're not doing background checks on folks, probably having folks in the work program stay somewhere more like the town office, because we don't know everyone's backgrounds. So we may not necessarily want them working with children or at the library where children might be present. They may pay taxes in the town of Belgrade, but they may not be an upstanding citizen otherwise. So I would think I think that's why we sort of had folks staying with maybe
oh,
weeding,
limited.
flower gardens at the town office and folding newsletters and things like that. Because I think if we expanded it more, we may have to get into things like background checks, because we can't just have anybody working with kids.
Right,
Right.
well, and somewhere in here it said about each department will come up with what work they have available. I don't think
Yes.
I don't think I
there's
was
that.
doing drugs when I read
No.
that,
No.
but
it's
there
in-
was
it's in
something
there.
about each.
That- Yeah, each department should come up with a list of,
Oh, on or before January 1st each year, the town's departments, committees, and other interested parties must describe and request to the selectmen, correct that, persons, the number of hours and tasks they would like accomplished for the ensuing year. Number 2,
I
on
know,
page
I
4.
know, I saw it too.
That was from the old,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's put a question mark there on how we're gonna do that. Are we thinking we want? I mean, do you want just anyone working at the transfer station?
No,
no, because you could definitely get hurt.
right,
Or do you
Facilities,
want anyone
facilities?
just weed whacking in the summer? I mean,
No. no,
no, okay,
it's gotta be relatively low risk type of work that does not expose them to real
any hazards.
hazards and does not expose the town to liabilities. So,
so it probably should be supervised through the town. I'm thinking, could the historical society have a project that they need help with.
That's not a town.
That's
It's
not
a committee,
not a town.
oh, not a
department,
town
no.
committee,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a good thought, though.
Is there
Clean.
anyone else in that list that? I mean, I could see where the library might have, that they could need some help on
Would-
sorting or doing something, but.
And you could be doing, it could be the cemetery committee.
That's exactly-
Putting in flags or putting flowers up there.
Right,
Yeah,
Things like that. you know,
Yeah.
just Low impact.
so
Low
that,
risk.
that sentence needs to be amended.
counting nails, I don't know, they could
Yeah.
come up with something that's low risk.
Making
Buttons-
sure the cement
buttons
slab
are
is
safer.
smooth.
Buttons are safer than nails.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay.
To watch the fire.
Do you have anything else, Melanie, to add on this? Right,
No,
Yvonne?
that was just my thought there. Nope, I'm good.
Okay, all right. So now.
There's something else that we can talk about forever.
Yeah, employee recognition policy. Lorna? Are you brave enough to do this one?
I don't know. I'm on vacation. My mind is checked out. So you all have already reviewed a draft of this, back in September.
Right.
Attached is an updated draft. And we've also provided a list of the full, permanent, part-time and fire rescue personnel.
And are
so-
fire rescue personnel considered on call? Is that the category?
Yes, I
Categories
gave
that they
you,
are?
well, I gave you the descriptions or definitions that are in our employee handbook. So that you could take a look at what each department, if you will.
But they'd have to
has
be
for
on call
employees.
employees.
So they would, to me, they would be on call. Permanent part-time would be like, I have one in facilities, a permanent part-time, I have one in the library. I have full-time on fire, full-time in the town office, full-time in cemeteries, library. Transfer station, you have a permanent. I do have one permanent part-time transfer station. We have full-time at the rec center, we have seasonal at the rec center. We don't have any permanent part-time down there, don't have any on call down there.
So in this suggested award amounts that we talked about before,
Yes,
that is, and the count, I was interested in the count.
Right,
The count is all full-time, part-time being permanent and just part-time? Because
yes,
we have permanent, part-time, and then we have part-time,
right, except seasonal, not seasonal.
right, not
Not
seasonal,
seasonal.
not
Right,
seasonal.
Right,
And then it says, and fire department numbers. But my question is, our fire department numbers, is that on call? And if we're listing other people by categories, full, part-time, should it be full, part-time and on call?
yes,
yes.
And then do we have anybody else who's on call besides fire and rescue?
our ACO would be on call.
There you go.
Right,
So
ACO.
on call works. Strip fire department, stay on call. Right?
Well, I mean, if that's what we want to do, because these more than, that 14 people with more than 25 years of service.
Yeah. I
That's,
see you came up with numbers, I don't know if you can't, I came up at like $12,950
yeah, I did too,
for the first year.
for the
when we-
first year,
First year, everyone gets their award, and then after that, it would be significantly less.
right?
So I figured, roughly, we'd have to budget 15,000 to kick it off to get the certificates, and just a high number. And then after that, it would be significantly less every year, because it
Right.
would just be, as people turn that
Yeah.
fifth year.
Yeah.
But,
But when we say 20 to 25 years of service. And then more than 25 years of service. Does that mean that they only get something at 25 years, or do they get something every year after 25?
I would do 25, at 30, they get an award again, at 35, they get an award, every 5 years,
Yep.
they qualify for the same $500.
Okay.
I mean, that is what's in my brain.
That's how I was thinking about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
We listed out those categories.
And we wouldn't have that many that are gonna go, other than Billy Pulser, who might keep going and going, but
So. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Is it? Our full-time employees going to see that it's fair that they get the same amount as on-call employees?
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, we want to recognize everybody.
I guess I look at if somebody is ready to answer the call at 2 in the morning and put on their stuff and stand out in the cold and fight a fire. And, or I could go work at the library as a permanent part-time. I think they both deserve an equal award. That's just me.
Okay, no, I mean, I just raised, I'm
But I
just
think it's a
raising, the-
good question.
I'm
to
raising the
raise.
question because I know that we want to be fair.
Right.
And, you know, everybody's perception of fairness might be a little bit different.
Anyone else have a thought?
And this page with the suggested award amounts and the list, that's not part of this policy. That's.
Right, that's just information.
Right.
That's
that was-
information, so
yeah,
that we
was
would
the
know, yeah.
information.
Right, right.
But do we have room in general administration or whatever budget for this year to kick it off, so we're not adding it to next year's budget? The kickoff piece, which is what I would say is 15,000 would be max.
Right, because I got the 12,950
Right,
by having $500 for.
right,
board
that's what I did,
25. Okay,
same thing. And then I said, but then we talk about, we have a cake or recognize them, so I'm just saying, the worst it would be is 15,000. Do we have that in a budget somewhere for this year, that instead of it going into undesignated, we could kick this off? Because next year, that recognition program could be easy to figure out how many people next year would hit those plateaus.
Mhm.
And the reason it's big this year is because we're giving everybody something.
Right.
Right. Everybody who's in the tent.
I don't know where we would pull 15,000, what line item we would even have that,
For this year,
right?
so it would have to be in next year's budget.
Unless, yeah, I just am asking, is there extra fluff anywhere?
I just don't know what line item that might. I mean,
Could
I
we do
know
it under
we-
general
I know we
administration?
have, and you know, you can't.
I don't know, I'm just asking.
I know we have an awards because we did the Spirit of America. But that line item is not 15,000 and we've spent that, so.
But this would be more under personnel.
Yeah, it really is rewarding personnel. Is there anything under that we could pull part of it
You
from,
have to look at each department's budget and see if there's enough for that.
see if there's enough for
Paid.
each department pay for their employees?
That's really the only way. it is.
Out of wages,
Yeah, wages or salary or
See if there's left in it.
benefits or,
And now I mean, we can make an educated guess, but there's still, you know, more than 2 months left. In
What
in the
about-
budget year, so nothing's really.
Yeah. what about, I mean, fire is gonna take the biggest hit because they have the most long-term employees. Is there room in their funds to do it? I think it's a great thing to do if we can figure out a way to do it. And in the big picture of our whole budget, it's not huge.
Mhm.
And maintaining it moving forward is gonna be relatively small.
Mhm.
But can we find a way to do it?
First year.
And if we're gonna be asking departments to find ways to contribute to this,
Right,
are they even aware of this yet? Like, hey, we might be asking for some coin
Well, no, because I, it
We
hasn't,
haven't passed. it.
unless they've heard us discussing it here, they would
Right.
probably fire departments, because they had, you had to get their numbers from them, might be aware,
Right.
but. Wasn't Dan here the night we were taking this?
He
around?
was.
I think he was,
He
yeah.
So,
was.
at least, I mean,
Yeah. It was.
I mean, it's a nice idea, but I'm not crazy about the whole program. I think that's what wages are there for, people. You're paying what they're worth, but. Not crazy about, but.
well, we were trying to find a way to recognize employees,
I
so
understand that.
And encourage.
encourage
Every time
longevity.
you do this, then you're gonna have taxpayers looking at that going, well, aren't they getting paid? I've been giving them more money, you know, they get paid, but it's what you get. So,
It would be more fun to have a day and have it be like a family day. And do something fun.
Trip to Funtown Splash
So,
Pad.
no, but really, and have, and your spouse or, and children or whatever could come, a family day. I've heard that several times.
From our staff.
Well, it's a question of how many families are gonna come and what day are you gonna figure it out, because it have to be in a weekend. You're gonna have families come. Are people going to want to give up a weekend to do it?
Right.
I don't know.
I have my doubts. About weekend.
I don't know how many people would wanna give up a weekend to do it. Do
So,
we wanna noodle it around for, talk
Yeah.
about it next week and get some,
yeah,
and maybe
I
Lorna,
think so.
look at what would the cost be for next year?
You
How
mean,
many-
assuming that we can find
Assuming-
it for 24.
What
Not
would the
for
cost be
24.
for year two, I guess
Yeah,
is what
for
my
year two.
point is.
Yeah.
You know, the first year's a big hit, and then is there a cost benefit enough to do it? And Melanie, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think the whole reason we were coming up with this was because we've been in the habit of rewarding people when they left us.
Right,
Correct.
right,
Wanted to reward them while they were here. And maybe this isn't, maybe we could do a little more. I'm over here thinking, what if we did a raffle of something big, and if you're here less than a year, you get one ticket. If you're here 1 to 5, you get one ticket for every year that you're in, or I don't know, something fun, something that recognizes them. I don't know. I see both sides of it with dancing it that way. I'm like, yeah. Because now we're
Yeah.
looking at, $50,000.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
we were just arguing over $6,000 for concrete pad.
Right, we
Right.
saved $6,000, so there's $6,000 for the fund.
right, there we go, now it's only gonna cost us $7,000. Because we saved it somewhere else. Well, let's look at year two and just think about, if we don't do this, what do we want to do? Because we keep saying we wanna do something. And then it gets away from us, and then we talk about it again, and then it gets away from us. and-
Right,
Right. But as Melanie said, this was in response
It
to
was.
giving people a monetary gift when they leave.
right.
This is a way to try to
This is a way
encourage
to
them to.
encourage people to stay and reward them for staying, which I think is good.
It's a retention effort
Right.
Yes, ooh,
like that.
I like that.
So-
Yeah,
So, I worked at a place where I heard the president of this company say this, part of your pay is the view. And he was serious,
yeah.
so.
Part of the pay.
There was no retention effort whatsoever.
Don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out, one
Yeah,
of
you
those
don't like it,
retention
you
efforts.
go. So
Yeah.
that, no, I'm not saying we should be that way, I'm just saying, I know there are people out there who would have.
Who might think of it that
Opinions.
way,
Yeah, but you look at most companies and there's very few and far between that you get a bonus every 5 years, based on whether you, how long you've been there. I mean, I can't tell, I couldn't tell you one off the top of my head.
yeah.
But,
I mean, I was in a different industry, so it was rewarded differently, so, I see it, but totally, it's what you're experiencing.
I think I get a nickel per hour more for every 5-year increment. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you give you a longevity.
Oh, longevity
So it's
piece,
like, it goes up a nickel or a dime or something
yeah,
per hour. But, you know, I mean, it's not much, but it's something.
yeah.
It's not much.
Okay,
Okay, let's
Um,
noodle it around. some-
noodle it and we'll re-noodle it. We'll cook up the ramen noodles next meeting. And maybe try to come to a decision. Is there anything under other?
I mean, will we,
Oh.
I was gonna say, will we be ready next meeting to make a decision or, I mean, I think the key is for something like this. How would we pay for it?
Right.
If we wanna do something major like this. Could we even afford to pay for it this year? And it seems like that's not certain.
Well, I think in some departments probably wouldn't be a big impact. I think the biggest impact would be the fire department. We'll
Right,
have
but
to
the
look
fire
at it.
department always. They do a lot of spending at the end of the year because they have, they don't know how much they're gonna have to expend.
I understand
On
that.
fires
It's
and
a
things.
question of, is that something they say, yes, we can put $4,000 into it, or they're gonna say, no, we don't think this is value. Right?
But for the fire department, that may not be the question, that may not be the
Yeah.
criteria, because they may need to save, they don't know how many calls they're gonna have in November and December, so they may not be able to say November first
Right.
that we can commit, whatever their share would be, probably significant, $5,000 anyway, I would think.
I would think, yeah.
Between now and the end of the year, because we may need it to pay people for actually going out and doing the job.
I guess we get the numbers and talk to them and see if they're saying, oh, no way, we can't, I mean. We won't know till we have numbers to talk to people about, right?
Okay.
Okay, anything under other business? Okay, ooh,
Yes, I have a question.
oh,
The dugouts and stuff down to the field,
okay,
still no finish getting painted this year. So at some point, I'd like to have the board either have a formal or informal policy that we don't give permission to people to start projects unless they're gonna get them done that year.
okay, so what did we do? We gave permission to the K-List to paint them? Is that,
I believe so, because they wanted to paint everything to match, everything was
Right.
changed over to blue. And
and
it
it's
was a
not-
volunteer or somebody that was doing it, and
Right.
it didn't get done.
we should probably follow up with K-List and see where that's
Yeah.
at. Good point.
Yeah.
Yep,
And I mentioned it once before that we're missing one of our town Belgrade marker signs. Over on 135 and in the Manchester. We
Oh,
stole
yeah.
the sign.
Mhm.
Supposed
Oh,
to,
really?
there's no sign left there,
Yeah.
so
oh,
we need to
okay,
think about getting a new Belgrade sign.
yeah, okay,
Good point.
Maybe one of the little narrow ones.
Narrow
on a
one.
White post that said Belgrade.
Yeah.
oh,
I
okay,
love those.
I'll send a note to Jason.
Yeah, it's not, it's one of the fancy ones that we had made up, but it's still.
Oh, just the pole.
Not the fancy one there, but it was the.
Oh,
The narrow one,
The
yeah.
narrow one
Okay.
that said Belgrade.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, looks like somebody unbolted it and stole it.
oh, okay,
Good figure.
They needed it worse than we did.
yeah.
It's hanging in somebody's garage,
You're right.
probably in Florida or
Yeah,
Pennsylvania or.
Massachusetts.
okay, moving on to warrants. Okay, so I move we pay warrant number 115 in the amount of $25,011.75.
Second,
All in favor, Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, that's 5 yeses. I move that we pay warrant number 116 in the amount of $15,875.02.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Peter,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and Carol, so that's 5 yeses. Okay, I move we pay warrant number 117 in the amount of $164,618.60.
Second,
Okay, any discussion on the current warrant?
Yes.
Okay. what do you have questions on, Lonnie?
Well, page number 9. And so it is all of the well claims, but it seems to be split out on the warrant. So on page 9, there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of them. And then I had to go back into my email and cross those with what Dwight had sent us.
Yeah,
And then there's one other one. Okay, never mind. It looks like that one's on the end of page 8. So those all go to the treasurer. So I know one of the things that we had spoken to them about was that we were getting these invoices in a timely manner. And there are 2 invoices that we just paid to the tune of 12,000, almost $13,000, where the work was actually done in 2023. So by us not getting these invoices for a year after the work is completed, I have a
Yeah.
hard time with that because we require our contractors to notice us within 30 days. And we've requested from the state several times that they keep us abreast of this and what the cost is going to be on a much more timely manner. But we just got whacked for $22,000, and 12 of that should have been last year's budget. So I don't know how we do this, but then the little blurb in the town manager's report essentially says they're still not ready with a water system design. So I don't think I want to wait for them to come back and have another chat. I think they need to come and meet with the board because we need to decide what we're doing.
I was at that meetings and I think we'll talk about the town manager's report, where they're at, but I think you're right, we did ask him to come to the board. So I don't know if we scheduled that, but.
And the invoices are paid out of a reserve.
Right. But we shouldn't be getting invoices over a year after the work is completed. Like, were we noticed of this stuff when it was going on?
Yes,
Because that's the other thing that we still.
I forward you everything that Dwight sends over when they have work going on.
It's just they've
And
not
it-
been
and it
prompted
may
in
have-
billing it.
Yeah, it may have started in 23 and not finished until now. I'm not making excuses
no.
for. That's
These
the
two-
batch he sent over.
Okay,
Can't
so
hear
the
you.
2 Fowler ones were actually completed in June of 2023 and November of 2023. And I know you don't have the bills in front of you because like I say, I was cross-referencing them with what was sent via email
Right,
so that I check that we were paying our half and which is our half on this one and which one is that. 2 of those, the work was completed in June and November of 2023. And we're just being invoiced now from the state requesting our half, which is not
Right.
keeping us, and it's not keeping us at the table. It's telling us after the fact what we're coming up with.
The invoice
So I
that
guess,
I think that's something, Melanie, that we need to talk to Dwight about, because when we met that morning, you raised a really good point, but.
well, and we've mentioned it before, but so just that was really hard to follow. So I guess maybe if we do another blurb like that, like all those bills, let's just put them in our book so that we can be crisscrossing that too.
and he actually did not give us an invoice with that detail. He sent those over separately and said, oh, by the way, you know, here are invoices that we've paid and you know, the town has got to do 50% for the agreement, blah, 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 as you saw. But his invoice, I don't know if you can see this, Mel, but this is simply a Department of Transportation, it's a state of Maine invoice, and all it says for description is billing the town of Belgrade for 50% of charges incurred by Region 2 for Belgrade well claim. And it's dated October 1, and it has an amount, 22,724.40. It doesn't even have anything else referenced.
As far as what the
I told-
what
I
address,
asked-
what the address
I
is.
asked Lisa I said, pull all of those invoices he sent us. And let's at least document when we
Where?
pay this, so that we know, right? We know what we've just paid out and from what property and
Right.
that sort of thing,
Right.
right? Yeah,
That's-
if we would have just received this, we would have simply paid a check to them for the 22,000 and no detail.
no, you can't do that,
Right,
right?
but so, yeah, it's kind of they're so slack.
Is it, could I take a look at that invoice?
They're really,
Cause notoriously, the bills are not, they do not show a great deal of detail.
that one doesn't, but the invoices that he sent copies of, obviously that has more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he
Yeah,
sent
so
over.
that's my point, Peter. If you have those, if you look at the ones from Fowler Roofing, it tells you on the bottom when the work was completed. So they're billing the town over a year later.
Well, Peter's looking at that. Carol will need to do those 2 folders.
Right, yeah, I was looking to see if,
Yeah,
it's had 120 here, but I didn't find a 120.
Yeah, I wasn't here.
Okay. Yeah, that's
I
fine.
wasn't here today to
Yeah,
get those copies.
That's okay.
Okay. And then can I just ask one more question?
Sure. Absolutely.
On page 6 under main recreation, we paid $2,400 for tickets program resale. What is that?
I think Oakland does it. I wanna say it's like Fun Town, Splash Town. We buy tickets at a discount and resell them, and we make a little bit of money on them.
Okay, can we find out if that's what that was? Because it's the first time.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's something new, and I know Dan said he was never gonna do it again because it was too much of a headache. Yeah.
So he's selling the tickets to families?
Yes, they're available. Yes. Were you all set with that, Peter?
Thank you,
That-
thank you.
Yeah, I'll put that.
Anything else on that warrant 117?
No, that was my biggest one. I was like, we hadn't heard about
Yeah,
that program.
okay, all in favor of approving that, Melanie,
Yep, I'm good.
Dan,
Yeah,
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
And I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. And then we have warrant number 118. In the amount of $11,521.54.
We don't have that.
We don't have one. Yeah, that's the BMV warrant for $11,371 and $150 for Christine Polson for the North Belgrade Community Center gathering. So I move we approve that for $11,521.54.
Second.
All in favor, Peter?
yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. And then We have payroll warrant number 119 in the amount of $22,344.18. I move that we pay warrant 119.
I'll second that,
All in favor, Peter,
yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. And that takes us through the warrants, and we now go to town manager.
there's no
report.
120.
There's
No,
no 120,
there
that's
wasn't.
what I was looking
Yeah, okay.
for. So you're up, Lorna.
Okay.
Just like, oh, gee, thanks.
Okay, so Chair Carol Johnson and I met with Dwight Dowdy of DEP DOT. Why do I keep hitting that? Reference the salt triangle, water treatment plans, October 4th. The design is not ready yet, another month or two. Once Dwight has that, he would like to speak with the board. He gave an update on the wells for Pecos Cove, the permitting. I know that he and Hans have gone back and forth, just getting paperwork ready and determining the who was gonna be the applicant, the state or us or both, which it would be both. Which he had already notified us about via email. And I'll just stop right here because I know that you all would like to have Dwight come speak with you before they get that plan for the treatment system completed and ready for you to take a look at. Would you like me to reach out to him and have him at the next meeting or whenever he's available?
Yes. In my opinion.
Mel? Yes,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I'll take Dwight now.
So our next meeting is October 29th.
The Boston.
Yeah, it may not be the next one,
Yeah.
but I'll try to get him in, within the next one or two.
You signed it. Oh, no, you haven't.
The comprehensive plan committee meets next October 16, so that's tomorrow, to continue discussion of future land use, including growth areas. They have set the date of November 20 as the public input meeting to be held at the Center for All Seasons. I don't have any other details other than the date and where. We have interviews scheduled for the custodial maintenance position, the week of October 21. We'll be scheduling interviews for the deputy clerk position after elections. We have received, some applications. We are exploring a better coverage carrier for cell phones. AT&T offers a FirstNet program, which has some great features, like priority coverage and service during times of emergency. Better coverage, especially at the transfer station. It is a lower monthly cost and they would allow a $1,400 credit toward balances due on current devices, meaning when we get a device, we have to pay for it or make payments home. I had FirstNet. I went over and visited with Kenny at the transfer station and we tried out my phone, making calls and receiving calls, and it did work. So I know his US Cellular, he has a lot of difficulty with, so he's supporting
Yeah.
coverage, and so does Jeff, our ACO.
Oh,
We still have the landline at the transfer station though, correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do we still have the landline at the transfer station?
That I couldn't tell you, we must, that I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head, Melanie.
I think we do.
Yeah, because
I know Kenny uses or has his business, he has a business cell phone to use. And I'm sure he uses it for emergencies or if he's out in the yard or whatever, but it's horrible coverage. And US Cellular, when we spoke to them about, especially at the transfer station, difficulty using. They said to wait until fall and winter when the leaves were off
Correct.
It might work better.
Yeah. And just so you know, US Cellular is probably gonna be sold by next year if SEC goes through with that.
Okay.
So T-Mobile and Verizon would be the consumers of that.
Not a fan of T-Mobile.
I have
Um,
Verizon, I love it.
The front door at the town office should be replaced with a new door and hardware by the middle of next week, so that would be this week. I think Corey was gonna try to get them in tomorrow. He can get a new door on, but they have to order and wait for the handicap accessible items. And I know that's been a real stickler. I'm surprised we're actually getting someone here to get the door done, but it's super, as you know, super hard to get construction people to do anything. They're so booked up. The flower bed to the left of the front door of the town office will be mulched to match the right side before winter. ARPA balance is currently $112,570.79. Erosion control map digitization, rug control at the cemeteries and town office, a comprehensive plan, dam remediation, emergency dam repair, the village parking lot. All of those items have been paid, either been paid in full or are ongoing. So the map digitization and the comp plan still have some money left for those. And I did give you an update, with that. The buyback program with me first, I checked with Deanna to see, where we were on that. To date, we have had one employee take advantage of the buyback program. Under the warrant article passed at town meeting, employees have until March of 2026 before the unused balance of the special reserve account set up will fall back to undesignated funds. And I believe I gave you a copy of the warrant article as well. And continuing, of course, on the radar, our Dalton Properties fiscal year 25 budget, town meeting 2025. We still need one additional water trustee. The short-term rental ad hoc committee, which sounds like we're getting close to that. The ARPA expenditures, the CDS grant for the new fire station, Center for All Seasons updates, plan and funding, employee handbook review, and then to review policies.
Lorna, I have a question about the ARPA funds,
Yes,
the ones that haven't been expended yet,
yeah.
like the dry hydrants, what's happening? with
The dry hydrant, Dan did give me an update, after I had done my report for you all, so give me just a moment, I'll pull that up because I asked him. I know that he and the construction company are working on this, let's see. They are planning on the end of October or first week of November to get the dry hydrant in. It will be depending on when the lake drawdown is done.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just concerned that we expend as much, this money as quickly
Right.
as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
And what about the video equipment at the center?
Dan actually spoke with another company he thought was even better. So he and I are working to review that estimate and then get those people, it'll probably be via Zoom, but get them in front of the board so that you all can talk with them that question.
And the engineering for the new fire station?
We can't use ARPA under the CDS, well, we couldn't use it.
We can't use it to match the grant, but can't we still use it for the project? Are they saying we can't use ARPA money at all for the project, or we
I don't
can't,
think
we
we can.
can't count it towards the match?
I don't think we can use other federal money for that. I believe that was the issue. I know that Deanne and Travis had talked about maybe being able to use it for something else, but we've not really sat down and talked about it. But I certainly can, and then we could bring that to you.
Because don't we have to have all the money allocated by the end of 24? If not.
Yeah, it's already allocated.
I know, but if we
Right,
can't
in the
spend
re-
it, if we can't spend it on engineering for the new fire station, we have to find someone else to spend it on, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I
Yeah.
can talk with Dan and Travis and, or you can just pull that and.
How much is it?
I wanna say it was like
30,000.
30,000, right?
30,000.
Well, I think you could, I mean, I'm sure either one of the folks in, Senator King's or Collins' office will say, can we pay for part of it or not? They'll give you a yes or no.
We
And then-
can't use the art funds for
Okay,
the.
then we need to find where that 30,000 is gonna go.
Well, I would say worst case, aren't we talking about another fire truck this year? Or another rescue truck or something? There was another truck I thought we were talking about.
I don't know that we're ready to buy something yet, but I know that they've got something on their radar, so you could.
No, I was just thinking, just swapping it for that. And then
Yeah, I mean, I just
back
don't
out of the reserve account.
Well,
Then
right, I mean-
technically, it's,
True.
Well, maybe
true
we
story.
pay the fire truck repairs out of it, because that would be eligible.
I don't,
just.
I don't know that you can pay maintenance out of.
Oh,
I don't know, when the
Yeah.
first, Apple first came out, there was a lot of restrictions, but at the
But
end of
there
it,
isn't
you
any.
almost could.
It's basically
just about
anything
anything.
goes.
But let's
Yeah.
just make sure that we allocate, if we have to reallocate it, we need to do that, and I'm pretty sure by the end of 24.
right,
Yes.
right.
But I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is if it's already allocated to the fire department, I think that there's something that they probably could use it for.
I'm certain.
And then just take the money back out of the reserve account, and
Yeah,
put it back if they need it for the engineering or whatever.
right.
It just,
other
it's just,
The
Go ahead.
fire department had also wanted another dry hydrant.
Yeah.
The what?
Another
Remember
dry
Wanted
hydrant.
another dry hydrant.
Originally,
Right, but
this-
that was like
we were thinking-
35,000, so they have to find some more money. But. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, we'll
Okay,
keep that in the
great.
thing. Anything else?
the front door on the town office, switched around so it swings the other way, right?
Yes. Yeah, so that wind won't take.
We'll take the door?
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe it's this way. all the
It's
time.
horrible,
okay.
yeah.
You may be fighting to get it open, but I'd rather have fight to get it open.
I mean, you've all probably experienced,
Yeah.
you almost break your arms. And you go to it.
I can
Yeah.
imagine what it was this last accident.
Oh, my goodness, that was horrible.
So I would just like to thank Lorna for coming into the meeting tonight on her vacation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there's nothing else.
What you doing, Mel?
If there's nothing else, I move we adjourn the meeting at 8:37.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
That's.
Aye, aye,
Aye.
aye.
Eyes have
Aye.
it, Melanie.
Bye, I hope you feel better.
Feel better, Mel?
Thank you. Good night.
Good
night.
night. Gee, our kids and our dogs look pretty good.
Kate called us today, she's been,